I was only 10, maybe 12, and what I experienced back then became a lesson that stayed with me for life. Back then, the world was very different. The internet barely existed, mobile phones had just started appearing, and technology was nothing like it is today. And I'm telling you this for a reason, because when this happened, there were no social media platforms where a voice could spread in seconds. No place where you could share your story and be heard by thousands of people. That doesn't mean I stayed silent. I did raise my voice, but it was silenced very easily. Today, through this platform, I want to share something real, something raw, something uncomfortable. How sometimes people in positions of respect and authority, people who appear educated and decent, can misuse that trust and cross personal boundaries. And the worst part, after everything happens, the blame often falls on the victim. At that time, I was in 4th grade. We had a math teacher, and somehow his attention was always on me. Now, don't get me wrong, everyone in class made mistakes, but somehow my mistakes were never ignored. If someone else made a mistake, it was overlooked. But if I did, punishment was almost certain. Of course it hurt, but the truth is, I was weak in math, so mistakes happened. Whenever he called me to his desk to check my notebook, something would happen that made me extremely uncomfortable. He would hold my hands tightly while pretending to guide me, and the way he positioned me made me feel uneasy and embarrassed. And this would happen in front of the entire class. I can't even explain how humiliating that felt. Embarrassing, confusing, deeply uncomfortable. One day, I finally gathered the courage to tell my grandmother. I told her what had been happening. She was furious. The very next day, she went straight to the school, to the principal's office to complain. The principal called the teacher in and asked him to explain. And just like that, he changed the entire story. He said, "This girl struggles with studies. She doesn't focus. I'm only trying to help her understand math. Why would I ever behave inappropriately? I have 4 daughters of my own." And just like that, the story changed. The moment we stepped out of the principal's office, his version of the story spread across the entire staff. And suddenly, everything became my fault. After that day, people started looking at me differently. Their eyes said things without words, that I was a bad student, that I was disrespectful, that I had falsely accused a teacher. But the truth? Only I knew the truth. Everywhere I went, people stared. It felt like those eyes were going to swallow me alive. Their looks pierced like thorns. And I can't describe how difficult it is to sit in a classroom, pretending nothing happened, while knowing you did nothing wrong. And yet no one believes you. Because when you're a child, proving the truth feels impossible, but the story didn't end there. One day, I made a small mistake again, and this time, he slapped me, right in front of the entire class. I knew exactly why. It wasn't about the mistake, it was retaliation. Retaliation because I had spoken up, and that made me ask a question I still ask today. Why do people judge someone's character without ever hearing both sides? Why do we decide someone is lying just because they are young, weak, or powerless? To me, it should never matter what someone's position, power, or status is. What matters is what kind of human being they truly are. But blaming me was easy. I wasn't good at studies, so clearly I must have been the liar. In many societies, the ones who raise their voice are treated like criminals, while the ones who hide their actions continue living as respectable people. And who knows, how many others they may have hurt while wearing that same mask. Sharing this story is not easy for me. I know when people hear it, some will show sympathy, and others might still judge me, create their own stories, and question my character. And sadly, even today, systems and laws are not always strong enough to completely break this mindset. But remember this is not a fictional story. This is a real page from my life, just one page, not the whole book. If you believe stories like this should be heard, then support this voice, like this video, share it, so this story reaches more people. Maybe someone out there will finally feel brave enough to share their own story. And together, we can create a chain of voices that refuses to stay silent about the flaws in our society. Subscribe and stay connected with Fuel Your Fire, because from today onward, we're not here just to stay quiet. We're here to ignite the fire.